Media Narrative Project: The Asbestos Strike of 1949 by Artyom Gilan and inspired by Heritage Minute. Let's uncover how a small group of miners in Asbestos, Quebec single-handedly changed the social and political history of Quebec in the 20th century. The asbestos strike of 1949 came about as the result of miners wanting to negotiate for increased wages, paid holidays, union participation in operating the mines, and most importantly pension and company action to protect workers against illnesses caused by the exposure to asbestos. When negotiations came to a deadlock and workers went on strike, Premier Maurice Dupuis sent an armed police to handle the situation. This resulted in violence and ultimately demonstrated the police's lack of interest in the plight of the working class people, and as he was only interested in serving the interests of big businesses which demanded that the workers be forced to put back into the mines. The reason the asbestos strike of 1949 was so important was because it represented a crucial turning point in Quebec history and a precursor to the Quiet Revolution, as the strike demonstrated that under the conservative and authoritarian government of Duplessis, no political or social change was possible. As Pierre Trudeau described the event as a violent announcement that a new era had begun. One of the most important results of the asbestos strike of 1949 was that it ultimately led to the development of neoliberalist thought in Quebec that sought to challenge the nationalistic, authoritarian, and conservative policies of Duplessis following the events of the strike. However, some argue that despite the negative reception of how the asbestos strike was handled, Duplessis would continue to act as Premier of Quebec until his death in 1959, attesting to his popularity among the majority. And although this is true, Duplessis would continue to reign as Premier until 1959, the most important point for the thesis, despite this, is that the asbestos strike symbolized a cultural change in Quebec society as intellectuals and political activists alike emerged to contest the conservative nationalist policies of Duplessis' regime. This political and social change set out to establish a new liberalist system based on social and economic equality, which would heavily influence and play into the Quiet Revolution. In conclusion, the asbestos strike of 1949 proved to be one of the most important cultural events for the emergence of liberalism in Quebec. Influencing prominent liberal thinkers and acting as the main critique of Duplessis' conservative and authoritarian government, the event would have social and political ripples that would influence the modernity of Quebec in the 20th century.